You're engaging in self-harm.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like, I mean,
Wow.
you know, like you're sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
You're sabotaging your success by not slowing down and thinking about what you want, what you define success as, what your values are. Because if you don't, you're always going to be attaching to what's going on outside of you.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I have a repeat offender on the show today.
Thanks for having me back.
Yes. Christina Rogers, who is not just a former client of mine, former client. I don't know. I always just feel like y'all are all my kids. But also, you have helped a lot of people in the SSHC community. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be back. I haven't been here in a year. I can't believe it.
I know. And the last time you were here, we did an episode, and I brought you back for a specific reason. And this is borderline selfish, but I saw this post that you put on Instagram, and it was you basically making a pivot, a little shift, and you deciding to kind of do almost like an exercise of being alone. And I commented on the post, and I'm like, okay, there's something here. For some reason, it tugged at my heart.
Yeah. And
I said, I would like to talk to you more about this. So instead of us just talking on the phone or going out to Starbucks or something like that for coffee, I said, all right, let's figure out, let's do a podcast together.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So can you tell me what transpired?
It's so interesting because the fact that it reached you is so interesting because it came on the tail end of ending coaching with you, the reason why I did it.
Right.
When we finished our coaching program last year, I actually had an interaction with one of your clients, and they had said something about, you got to start to think for yourself again. And maybe that's going to require you to take a step back from doing coaching in a group setting.
Right.
I never really thought about that. Like, I was so dead set on pushing through and being successful and achieving and getting the right messaging down and trying to do it correctly that I kind of lost myself in that and lost myself in the community and the comparison. And I think that's not talked about enough.
Yeah.
And
I would
love that.
I would love for us to talk about this because, you know, community has been such a huge reason. I feel like people elevate people, you know. I don't think there's tactic, this, that, whatever, but at the end of the day, people elevate people. And I feel like for me, building SSPT, which is now Smart Success Healthcare, was off of a void that I was lacked in my life. And I feel like my entire entrepreneurial journey was in solitude. I didn't have people. I definitely didn't have therapists. I didn't have any healthcare people. If anything, I had them more discouraging me versus, lifting me up. So I had to, initially it was pretty much all solo, besides my inner circle of my wife and just my kids supporting me.
Right.
But then even when I did get entrepreneurs, it was all non-healthcare professionals, right? So I feel like part of the reason why I created this was so that there could be the thing that I didn't have, right? But there's another part to it. There's a lot of good that comes with that, but then there's also some bad that comes with that. Yeah. So I want us to talk about this. By the way, y'all, listen, and if you feel like no, listen, I want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, because we've seen it, and so I want to talk about what there might have been good things with the community and you being in my program, but let's talk about some of those things that then led you to doing what you did.
Right.
And so let's if you can share it with us.
Yeah, I think being in the community brought up so many mindset blocks that I thought I had worked through before I got here. And then being in community brought those back up again. And I think as a therapist, I was like, oh, I should be able to work through some of this stuff. I should be pushing through, high achieving. And, then I went into, okay, maybe I need to take a step back and find my voice again, because I felt like I was getting all these different messages.
Right.
And I needed to take some time to figure myself out again.
What were some of the mindset blocks? You say mindset blocks. What do you feel like it was? What were the kind of demons that were going
like
on?
All or nothing thinking. It's such a form of self-sabotage. I don't think we think about that. But the needing to be on social media all the time, needing to, figure out my messaging, needing to be posting more than the other person or be doing something better than the other person.
Yeah.
And I think that's my athlete mentality, if I'm being honest with you, like that competitive spirit.
I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs, I think the way we get the high or the dopamine hit that we used to get in athletics is now through this. And so I believe we take that with us into entrepreneurship, but there also comes a hefty price.
For sure.
Of constantly feeling like I've got to be doing more. I've got to be doing this. This person's doing that. I need to do that. And
then it's self-doubt. Self-doubt of just like, am I even worthy of this? Am I even worthy of chasing this?
Right. Yeah.
If I don't even know who I am anymore.
Right.
Or if I don't feel like my messaging feels authentic anymore.
Right.
Or what I'm doing feels aligned with who I am as a person.
Right.
And
Yeah. No, that's huge. So you went away.
I did.
So what did you do?
I took a month, went out to Colorado, did some soul searching.
Okay.
I do a lot on my own. I'm an only child, by the way.
Okay.
I have a stepsister, but I grew up an only child for 9 years of my life.
Okay.
So some of that is, I think, just embedded in me a little bit.
Okay.
So my processing usually happens alone most of the time.
Right.
So that's when I was like, okay, if I'm not going to be, continuing in this community for right now, I want to go spend some time with myself in solitude, maybe be offline, not be online as much.
Right.
Maybe just take some time to really think about, what do I want? How do I define success? What do I value? And how can I show up better online in that way when I come back from this?
Right.
Yeah.
Have you noticed with me? Have you noticed less online?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is interesting. We'll talk about me later. Let's continue. So that's what you did. You took a step back from the program.
Yep.
You went out to Colorado. By the way, is that another good spot I should think about?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I was going to tell you that we were talking about it before. Yeah.
All right. I'm looking for like ski vibe. That's what I'm. Okay. All right. Easy to get.
I just learned how to snowboard this summer or this winter.
Okay. That's what I want to be. Okay. That's what I want. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. We'll talk about that after. So you're out in Colorado for a month. What did you learn during that time of intentional solitude?
I think I just had a reality check with myself of, hey, I'm 35 and it's okay to not know.
Right.
I think just admitting to myself that I didn't know was part of that. I think as a therapist, a lot of times my clients will come to me as the expert. And I think that's a lot of pressure for me.
Yeah.
Especially in this community too. Just, people coming to me and being like, well, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? And I'm struggling with that and being like, I have to put on this mask or this front, even though I didn't. That's just something that I was telling myself at the time.
For the guests or the listeners that are listening to this right now, can you let them know what specialty you do? You're not a physical therapist.
No. I'm a mental health therapist, and I work with high achieving individuals, entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, leaders.
Okay. The reason why I'm saying that is Christina came into our program with a higher level of reverence than most new clients. Okay. She had helped clients that I have been working with for many years. And sometimes clients turn into like dear friends, right? Like really, really good friends. And one person in particular, has become my best friend, right? And he was going through some stuff and one time we were out on the water. He was on my boat and we were going through this sheet that you gave.
Value sheet.
The value sheet. And we're doing that. We're in the middle of Clearwater Bay. We're at One Tree Island and we're like doing this and like people are like beeping us like, get out of the channel. You're going to be playing around. Like, we're here like studying this thing. And I'm like, oh, my bad. So anyways, like I already had a level of reverence for you before even knowing you because of what you had done for other people. And then you didn't just work with him, you worked at other people. Not that I would say names for confidentiality, but basically you came in with like, you helped the creme de la creme of our community, right? You might not have looked at them that way, just like any other person. They're humans, they got problems. But these people have achieved some pretty amazing things as very young therapists. And really, like, we're poster children for you can pull that. Now, there's also a lot of things that come with that, right? That's why they all saw you, right? But there was a certain level of pressure. There, not that I felt like I was necessarily giving you, but I had a certain level of reverence.
I was putting on
like
myself.
For you. And I also felt like I've got to make this work for you because of what you've done for people that are very like near and dear to me. So and then you add the athletic background, you add all the other things, and there is pressure, you know. And everybody looked at you. So Christina was actually one of was coaching people inside of my flagship program, the Invincible Income System, in cohort number 3, I believe. And so, I do hold you in high regard.
And I appreciate
but there's a lot of pressure. Everybody's looking at you like, how do you fix it? So how the hell can you have your own struggles? You're here to fix it all for us, right? And I think that's also some of the pressure that you might have been feeling.
And I think I learned that that's actually what makes me relatable. And that's actually a gift that I have.
Right.
And I was seeing it such as a curse.
Right.
And
you said something that I think a lot of healthcare providers struggle with, in that you felt like I had to know it all. And I feel like I have to have all the answers. Can you expand on that a little bit more? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that, and they feel like they have to show up as the expert, and that I know the answers to everything, and they can't be curious, because curious is almost like a weakness. Shows that you don't know enough. Do you agree?
Well, yeah. Look at where we came from. Were our parents open for us to ask questions or get curious? Like, no,
not mine.
Not mine either. It was my way or the highway. So no wonder why we don't allow ourselves to be imperfect,
right?
Because we were held to this standard. And that's also something I learned in isolation. I thought that my high achievement mentality was because I was an athlete. But really, it came back to, I thought that achievement was rooted in love. Because if I wasn't achieving, then I wasn't receiving love. And then when I wasn't achieving in the program in the way that I wanted to, I wasn't loving myself.
You weren't loving yourself.
So it just became this like big trickle effect.
What was it apparent? I can tell you, for me, through therapy, I've learned that's my Achilles heel, right? From my dad, I felt as though if I was not achieving, he couldn't love me, because the way that he showed his love, that was just his expression, is through accolades. My son won this 4-mile race. He won the mini marathon. He da-da-da-da-da. And if I wasn't doing anything, there was no talking. Right. And so I've always felt as though if I'm not winning, then people can't love me. And so I've had to really kind of work through that.
On the flip side, for me, it was my mom. And I love my mom dearly, but she was so emotionally unavailable to me as a kid that I thought that if I achieved enough, that she would give me that love. And my dad, on the other side, was kind of like that overbearing parent that was all involved in the sports and was always getting attention from the achieving.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow.
So when I wasn't, it was like, so I go back and forth. I oscillate between the anxious and the avoidant attachment. They call it disorganized attachment. It sounds like I go very back and forth.
Yeah. Gosh.
I'm either the perfectionist or the hustler.
Wow. That's me too. I'm either, okay, everything's got to be perfect, or I just avoid at all costs. And I just don't want to deal with it. I mean, I was just telling you about like The Office. Like I just don't want to deal with it.
Letting go.
Just pay somebody to do everything and whatever. Okay. Being alone, did it shift any of your relationships?
That's a good question. I think that I've always been kind of like a calm presence in my relationships. I think being alone has allowed me to set boundaries better in my relationship.
Wow.
because I actually took the time to think about what I needed for once.
Gotcha. Wow.
So I'm a lot clearer when things aren't going the way I want them to, or if somebody's doing something that's upsetting to me, I will not at first. I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
But I will take the time to reflect and then be able to communicate that in some capacity now.
Gotcha. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about your relationships with productivity? Because, I'm just thinking as a coach to you all, and I'm asking you to, hey, you're going to need to show up in some way for people to be able to even know that you exist. Right. And I do give people standards of like, hey, this is best practices, et cetera, et cetera. I also am starting to become well aware that we have always thought that the more we do, the better our outcomes can be.
Totally.
And that it doesn't, and that can be counterproductive, right? That we always have to be on, that we always have to post, that we always have to DM, that we always have to do that. So your relationship with productivity, has that changed at all?
Yeah, it's a good question, because how would you define productive?
Maybe I should say volume of work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe volume of work.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for me, it really has changed.
Yeah.
Like I have to post something today because I have to show the model of consistency because everybody is looking at me as he's the one that he teaches you, but more you catch what he's doing. So if I'm not on, I'm giving everybody else permission to not be on.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a weight to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, whoa, wait. Well, number one, things are different today. I don't need to be on like every single minute.
Yep.
I've got technology. I've got so many things that can help me not have to be on all the time. I think that's to still get the outcome that I'm looking for.
Right.
And I've had to retrain myself, that no, I can shut it down.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like life will go on. People will figure it out. They can wait, but I felt like before when I wasn't doing that, I was living, like my nervous system was just constantly just on edge at all times. You know what I mean?
You make such a good point, because that's kind of how I think I started to pull away from some of the productivity idea, was regulating my nervous system.
Right.
I was so dysregulated.
Yeah.
So dysregulated. And I think that I told other people how to regulate themselves, but I wasn't personally regulated.
Yeah.
So I actually stopped drinking caffeine. I stopped drinking coffee starting in January when I did a gut health protocol.
Okay.
And that actually has completely changed my productivity.
Wow.
And boundaries around productivity and volume, of like what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Because I can listen to my body and say, okay, this is enough.
Yeah.
I can tell that I'm heightened right now.
Right.
I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to put my phone on the charger at 7 p.m. and that's it. So I can tell more now. I'm more in tune with what's going on in my body now.
Right. I don't know if you listened to the podcast, if you heard me talk about doing these 6-week cycles now. This is what I'm doing. So I'm doing a 6-week cycle of, okay, I know what needs to be done in business, but I don't need to be on all the time. I have taught people how to time collapse.
Yeah.
I have done time collapsing for myself, but I'm still bringing the same 9 to 5. If I'm not on, if I'm not working, I'm lazy. I'm still bringing that mindset, even though I've time collapsed. So what I started doing this year is I actually take a vacation every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that I'm going somewhere. It can just be that I have 1 week out of every 6 weeks that I am resting. Now, there's 4 different components of business. And what I've structured every 6 weeks is to spend at least 1 week focused on one of those components. So like, we've got marketing, right? And getting awareness. I take 1 week and that's just the focus. Hey, if I'm ever going to be on people's podcasts, this is the week we're going to have to do it, right? And that's really all I do. Okay. I have 1 week where it's just focusing on fulfilling for clients. And, I told you I do pretty much everything at my house now with, the events, whether it's in the Georgia house or, the Largo place. And that's it. That's the week. If you for working with me, you got this is the week you come. And then there's a week that I'm just doing things for free, just helping people. No, I don't need any money exchange. Let me just help the community. And I just do it in that week. And then I have one week where I'm presenting offers, I'm selling to people to whether buy my book or buy this or buy that, da 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 da.
Right.
And then the other times it's just reflecting of, hey, what's working? Hey, do I need to spend more time on this? But I feel like it's really helped me to compartmentalize and train me that, no, you don't need to be on all the time. Just get these things done. And we're not, no matter how good things are going, these are the things that you need to do in order to keep business going. And it's just it's reframed my volume.
Yeah. I think too, I heard this somewhere and it really resonated with me, but it was talking about how we're not meant to work the same all year round.
Right.
There's different seasons. We should have different seasons in our businesses.
Right, yeah.
Hibernation season, growing season, planting season.
Right.
And I think we don't do that as entrepreneurs.
No. I really believe we take the 9 to 5 with us.
Yeah.
And then now and most of us hate the 9 to 5. And then now you're taking 9 to 5, and you're adding on the financial pressures and this and that, da da da. And I think that just creates for a huge mess.
Yeah.
Right now I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm at the end of my 6 weeks. And typically I would just be like, okay, it's time to just keep on pounding, But it's oh no, hell no, I'm going away. I'm doing something next week. It just might be to go to Central every day, go to Central Avenue and go to Planet Love ice cream every day. It's so good. I go to Planet Love every day. I don't know, but I'm doing. The one thing I am not doing is working.
Yeah.
So it's retraining my mind to get away from. Yeah, we don't want to have a boss anymore necessarily, but we're still acting like.
Yeah.
And just never off, and it's just too much on our bodies.
So the way that I do that is I actually love getting up for the sunrise. That is one of my favorite things to do. And it anchors me, it grounds me. But exploring new places, going to new coffee shops, going to new restaurants, taking yourself out on a date. I'll prep for my podcast and go take myself out to dinner.
Right.
It's these experiences that we're not doing for ourselves because we think that we have to be working on our business or doing something else. And, I know people with families, it's a little bit more difficult. When you're outside of work, you feel like you have to be engaged with, your kids and doing other things. But if you can take one day a week, a couple days a week where you do something just for yourself and be alone with yourself, people are so afraid of being alone with themselves.
Yeah. You know what? I'll piggyback off the whole family thing since, I got all these baby kids. You need to do it just as much or even more, because there are other layers, right? And I make sure that every day, and it's created new boundaries in my marriage and my relationship. No, either I'm going to get my time in the morning or I'm going to get my time after I finish my work responsibilities, but I'm getting my time.
Yeah.
We're
not prioritizing ourselves. Right. And I don't know. I think that that's just coming from the way that we were raised.
Yeah.
But
yeah. It's still the employee. If you're not working, you're not just even being productive, but you're just lazy.
Yeah.
And that we always have to be on.
Yeah.
And that we always have to be serving and giving and nothing really to ourselves.
Yeah. I just had a new client actually start with me, and I asked him this question, and I ask a lot of my clients this question, but when was the last time something really excited you that you looked forward to? He could not tell me. He could not give me an answer.
Wow.
He was stumped. And I guarantee that most people would be stumped by that question.
Right. Wow.
When was the last time you were excited about something, doing something for yourself?
Yeah.
Most people, they can't remember. They can't tap into that feeling for themselves of, oh yeah, I was really excited for that.
Yeah.
Because
that's not
adrenaline
good.
Is always pumping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is so interesting that we're even going down this path. There's a book called Feel Good Productivity.
Okay.
You need to look into that. I'm reading it right now, and it's Ali Abdaal. He actually was a medical doctor.
Okay.
And It's just talking about, we're always trying to get the new productivity hat. That he's like, but really it comes down to just doing things that you enjoy.
That's
doing things that make you feel good, and we're so numb to actually figuring out like what's our thing. For some of us, we are competitors.
Yep.
So for some of us, we actually like to compete, and in order to we need to play games with the things that we're doing in order for us to do the things we want to do, but to find joy in it. For some people, it sounds to me like you're that, but you're also this next one, which is you're the explorer, so you want to see stuff, you want to see new things, you want to try new things, and that gives you life. And then there's like the researcher, right? There's like some people that they just want to research. That's my wife. She is like total researcher, this, that. Okay, like that's not me. Just like, come on, I just want to play and I want to compete, and so like we got to figure out what gives us joy. And that's really sad that, most people feel like they're in a prison.
Yeah. Our brain will choose what is it? Our brain will choose like the worst discomfort over, what is it? I can't remember what it is, but it's like our brain is going to choose the familiar discomfort,
right,
over like uncertain joy.
Yeah. The certain, we would rather the certain hell.
Yeah, right.
Versus the uncertain heaven.
Yep. You just took the words out of my mouth.
We'd rather the certain hell, right? That's why people stay in terrible relationships, because at least they know, well, I know he or she or they, I know they're going to do this.
Right. It's predictable.
Right. It's predictable.
Right.
And we don't want potential uncertainty. And that uncertainty can be incredible bliss.
Yeah.
So we'd rather the certain hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. Entrepreneurs. I pretty much feel like you're going to say yes. Do you believe entrepreneurs avoid solitude?
Yes.
Okay. Now, tell me why.
Because if they slow down long enough, they're going to have to deal with whatever they've been running from.
Yikes.
And we're always running from something.
Yeah.
The high achiever, we're always achieving because we're chasing after something to try to leave something else behind.
Oh.
Or avoiding something, right? So the fact of slowing down, you'd have to actually confront whatever it is that you're running from.
Right. Damn. When you were in that month of solitude, like, were you bored? And what do you do? Because I think sometimes it's scary for some of us to just not only be by ourselves, but to like not have anything planned. Like not, okay, fine. I'm going to be by myself. Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this first. I'm going to go to the coffee shop next. We're going to do this next. Okay, I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to go here. Let's go to Pikes Peak. Let's do this. Okay, you know what I mean? Like we got to do all these different things. But can we just be? So were you bored? Yeah. Were you, okay.
But boredom is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm learning.
It's uncomfortable.
It is. It's so uncomfortable. Sometimes I'll tell my clients, I'll tell them to go just sit by yourself for 5 minutes, set a timer if you need to, and just light a candle and watch the flame. How uncomfortable do you feel?
Yeah.
Because your attention is on something that can sometimes be helpful. But if you're just sitting in silence, I think that can sometimes be a hard place to just start. But if you have something to focus on, can you quiet your mind? And most people have a really hard time quieting their mind.
Right. It's so hard. It's so hard today to do that. It's like we constantly have to have something that's stimulating us,
And I see my clients tense up when I ask them if they could go do that. They're like, really? You're going to ask me to go do that?
Wow.
But it's such a good practice because anything that you avoid, there is an answer there for you if you choose to lean into it.
So during this alone time, your creativity, one of the things that I felt like I struggled with before I stopped being on this strict routine was that if I get off of my routine, I'm going to lose my creativity. I'm going to lose my ability to be consistent. It's going to hurt so badly to not do the thing. Because I've now gotten out of that routine where it actually feels effortless. And if I take any time away from it, it's going to feel like starting over, almost like you haven't worked out in 6 months and then you got to get back on a treadmill, or you got to go do a 4-miler. You're like, oh my gosh, So I guess my question to you is, did you notice a hindrance in your creativity and flow?
The complete opposite, which is interesting because I actually did the same thing when I was a basketball player. I'd take time away and I'd come back and I'd actually be better than I was when I was consistently doing something. But it's almost like taking the time away helps for you to, I don't know, that creativity just starts to flow again, and you start to find your own voice, and you are using your intuition more. I think a lot of times when we're go, 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 we aren't listening to ourselves.
Right.
We're listening to other people. We aren't slowing down enough to think, hey, is this something that resonates with me? Is this something I actually want to say to the audience? Or is this something that I'm being told to say?
Right. Yeah.
Or that I feel like they should hear, not necessarily anything that I'm going through or that's aligning with me. And I think the more I take time away from my business intentionally, the more authentic I feel in my messaging and showing up online.
That's huge. And you said intentionally. Intentional, that this is a planned thing. This is what I'm doing to basically help to re-regulate myself. And okay, that's amazing. So you've got an entrepreneur in your office and you're trying to encourage them that, hey, time alone is important for entrepreneurs and for business owners.
Yep.
And then they say this to you, well, why? What do you say to them?
Because you're always going to listen to the outside noise if you don't stop and actually listen to what's going on internally and figuring that out.
The trust, people need to trust themselves more.
So much, yeah.
And if you don't trust, you don't have confidence, right?
Yeah.
And that can't happen.
If we're always seeking external validation, we're never going to be able to listen to what's going on internally for us. And I think we're so scared of what's going on internally.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really where all the answers are. It's really where you're going to be able to connect with your audience. It's really where your authentic voice is going to come up, is being internal and building that trust with yourself.
If somebody right now is saying, I don't think I can do that, can you tell them, I actually think you could?
You're engaging in self-harm.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like, I mean,
wow.
You know, like, you're sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
You're sabotaging your success by not slowing down and thinking about what you want, what you define success as, what your values are. Because if you don't, you're always going to be attaching to what's going on outside of you.
Okay.
And that's what happens. We get caught in the hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
Chasing success that we don't even align with.
Right. You know, it's also interesting too. I'd love to get your take on AI. Because one of the things I have seen, at least for myself, I mean, you've kind of seen, you know, we're helping a crap ton of people now with 1/10 of the team that I used to have. And a lot of that is because everyone that is on our team, I have 3 people in-house, 1 person virtual, and then 6 full-time VAs, right? So it's a team of 10, right? And I used to have a lot more than that. And we're able to do so much with AI, right? Everybody, the one thing is every single person is trained on using AI to be able to basically have, you know, 4 to 5 assistants that work on their behalf, right? Okay. And what I have come to realize is I'm able to deliver, like, and we'll talk about quality here in a second, but I'm able to deliver like quadruple the output using the technology that we have today versus even 3-4 years ago, right? And I do feel as though, you know, many entrepreneurs are using it in some capacity, right? And they still won't give themselves the ability to kind of lay off a little bit. The level of volume that we're able to produce with such little assistance is unbelievable. And I do see a good chunk of people using it, but they still won't let themselves be alone. They still won't let themselves settle down. And I would love to get your take on it. Like, you know, it really doesn't have anything to do with not having enough help, right? It has to do with just people are afraid for silence.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm proof of that in your program of I got all the tools.
Yeah.
You gave me everything.
Yeah.
But the vessel wasn't ready.
What wasn't ready? Yeah.
So you could have all the AI telling you what to do, but if your internal world is so messed up and your belief system is so unhinged, chaotic, whatever you want to call it, like it's never going to work for you.
Right.
And it's always going to even if you get all of the information and you try to deliver it to the world, if it's not going to come out right. So I think AI is a great tool, but if you are not,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right. And I think as a therapist, what I do a lot is hold space for people to share their internal world. And I think that being witnessed is such a huge part of people's progress.
Right.
Because a lot of people can't witness themselves. And they weren't witnessed as kids.
Right.
And if you're not witnessing yourself and not spending time with yourself, you could have all the tools and systems and, things in place.
And it doesn't matter.
It's never going to work.
It doesn't matter. Okay. Let's finish out with a couple practical ways that people can start by being alone. I think most people aren't going to go to Colorado for a month, even though I think that'd be wonderful. But what's something someone could do like this week?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need to start this alone time. I want to start slow here, but what would you recommend for them to do now just to get going with this?
Yeah, a couple different things. You can go outside, take your shoes off, put your feet in the grass, and just be outside without your phone. Leave your phone somewhere else. That's called grounding. When we put our bare feet in the ground, you could sit in the grass, something, being outside, that is grounding.
Okay.
You can set a timer for yourself if you need to. Okay. That's really uncomfortable for you. But being out in nature is a huge one. Going and catching a sunrise. I mean, sunsets and sunrises are really great here. So that's like one of my favorite things to do. Yeah. But you can also go for a walk without your phone. Go do something without a podcast in your ear. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're listening.
No. Because this is something that I do.
Yeah.
I lost my bike in the storm, my electric bike in a storm. But prior to the storm, I would go out on my bike, and I actually did this because, like, one time my phone fell out of my pocket. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just leaving my phone. And I just felt so amazed. Yep. I felt so amazing just being able to go out on a bike ride, no phone, nothing, like just hear even just the tire just just and just be, and that's it. It was so amazing. And now, like for me, I'm fortunate to enjoy the sunrises in the morning, stuff like that. But you're right, like grounding. Yeah, just be, right?
Yeah, and you can stand there and connect with your five senses. You can, say something out loud that you're grateful for. I think those are all great ways to connect with whatever's going on internally for you in a, less intense way.
Gotcha. Okay. How do people, like, if somebody wants to work with you, what would they do? Do you have any spots for that or no? I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to.
I actually have a high achiever blind spot quiz that you can access. It's free. Okay. So you can figure out how you're sabotaging your own success and where your blind spots are as an entrepreneur or achiever. And then I've been doing bi-weekly master classes on how to stop sabotaging your success.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. Okay. So can we leave that in the show notes?
Yeah, I'll put that.
We'll leave that in the show notes. And where can they find you online?
Just my Instagram, at christina.lmhc. And then my website is highimpact-entrepreneur.com.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Highimpact-entrepreneur.com. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Greg.
I appreciate you. And I think this is one thing I will say, you have, look, I know y'all listening. I know your students or clients. I know a lot of y'all. And you all mean something near and dear to me. But you have been such a blessing. You know, there's just some people, they come into your life and you're like, why did that person come into my life? I guess it was just for me to help, you know, whatever. You have been a blessing to me as well. You've been a blessing of not just to me personally. I think what you did for me, and I might have said this in the podcast last year, but you planted a seed that just needed to grow. I truly believe that if you didn't come in the lives of some of my students and didn't personally come into my life, I don't think I would have ever seen a therapist. And so I am like eternally grateful for you, because sometimes there's just different like reasons of and different purposes of everyone, right? You've never necessarily been my personal therapist, but you were the seed that I needed to just even be aware. And I think I've just lived a life of like, everything is so like hidden and like, you don't even talk about that. Like, you don't even go there. Just suck it up, spit dirt on it. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'll forever be indebted and grateful for you being, I don't know, I'm going to call you like my awareness person.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So thank you.
That means so much to me. That really does. Yeah. And you've been that for me. I mean, you've opened my eyes to what's possible for me.
Yeah.
I never thought as a therapist I'd be able to do half the stuff I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Impact any of the people that I impact right now.
Yeah.
And without you, I wouldn't have gotten the confidence to be able to do that.
I had a lady reach out to me this weekend. She's probably listening right now, and she was telling me that she's pausing her membership for one of our kind of like early entry, programs. And I said something back to her, and this is kind of like what I said to her, I also feel with you as well. And for any of you listening, I feel as though once the seed has been planted, like I'm not concerned about when it's going to fertilize and how it's going to look. My focus is just to plant the seed. It's just to create the awareness. And I just feel like what you did for me, I think I've also done for you.
Yep. I
just needed to allow you to be aware. These things are possible. Now, sometimes what happens is you're aware, like, oh my God, I need this to take off. Okay, I need this. I need to do it. Okay. And then we don't like we want everything to just happen. You know what I mean? Right. And then we put all this pressure on ourselves. Then you add our childhood to this, that, and it turns into a hot mess express. Okay. But I think the fact that you know what you're capable of, that, but it also has to be in alignment with what makes sense for you and what feels right for you. But you got all the tools, you got the stuff. Now it's just, hey, how do I do this in a way that feels good? That feels good to me, and every day, like, it doesn't feel like it's a drag. It doesn't feel like my nervous system is, in freaking overdrive. It doesn't feel like, I'm constantly sabotaging myself, like, but when you can get that locked in, like what we talked about today, and you got the tools, watch out.
Game changer.
It's a game changer. So
appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
That was easy.